So guys, when we start ZBrush, we see this window, and it looks kind of scary, especially this guy in the bottom left corner, but ignore him, he's not important now. This is ZBrush in its finest, so this is the base ZBrush. And this thing here that we see, with a lot of windows and these heads and stuff, is the lightbox. The lightbox opens every time you start ZBrush. And since it opens every time we start ZBrush, we can talk about it a little bit. The lightbox has its own menu here, menus, project, tools, brushes, and a lot of things, texture, alpha, material. We will basically not use any of those except for project, by the way. Project is very important. Here we can kind of open a new project in ZBrush. If we don't open new project from Lightbox here, and we start kind of drawing on the canvas, we are not making any 3D. This is a 2D or 2.5D or something. This is how ZBrush started back in the days. But nowadays, we don't use this. The Lightbox, we can turn on and off from this button in the left corner, in the top left corner, Lightbox. You see? Here you can see my the keys that I'm pressing to impress you. Okay, so above my head, it's here, yeah. So with the comma key, you can turn Lightbox on and off. You see, comma, yeah. So Lightbox is useful because we can start from it to start ZBrush. When I start sculpting, for example, and when I want to make a human head, for example, which we probably will make, I'm starting from this Dynaspheres in here. Dynamesh sphere, and Dynamesh sphere there, 0, 1, 0, 2, whatever. So I will click on one, the first one, double click on it, and it would say, project has been changed, would you like to save changes? I would not like to save exactly this, so I will say no. And ZBrush will open a new project. So, let me explain what's happening here. We have a sphere in here. It has symmetry, as you can see. We can work on it. Yeah, and we can start dragging. We have the standard brush. Here is the brush in the top left corner. We see the brush, and we can start doing stuff. Very nice, very nice. But Control Z is also nice. So Control Z, by the way, is very good in ZBrush because you have unlimited undos. Not unlimited, but they are like at least 10,000, which is kind of unlimited. In any other software you have like 20, 40, 60, or you can set a random number, but whatever. So the brush kind of window show you the brush that you're currently using. If you click on it, you will open the brushes here. And the brushes are a lot. And if you see that, you'll say, oh no, I will not learn ZBrush in a million years because those brushes are so many. How can I remember them? You don't have to. For example, I don't know many of those brushes at all. I don't use them. I use mostly like 10 brushes, and I will show you later how we can customize our ZBrush interface in order to have those 10 brushes. But for now, how we will work in the beginning. We'll work a little bit slow, but it's normal because we are beginners. You are beginners, of course. So in the beginning, I will show you the ZBrush kind of interface, how to navigate it. So first, this menu here in the right. In the right is the tool menu. The tool menu is the most important menu in ZBrush. It's the only menu you need. No, of course, you have the brush menu, you have other menus here, alpha, brush, color, here in the top left, or the top and the left. You see all those menus, they're alphabetically ordered because, you know, you start from alpha, brush, color, document, draw, and file is here. By the way, file, save as, you see, don't save from here. This will save the whole project, which you don't need. ZBrush can save project, it can save also tool. This means if we make analogy with Photoshop, for example, this means that we can save, in Photoshop we can save a file, which is the tab, one of the tabs you have, file with its layers, is the same as a tool in ZBrush. And the tool in ZBrush has subtools, like the layers in Photoshop. But we can also save in ZBrush a lot of tools together if we have a lot of tools, and they will be like saving the Photoshop with all the tabs we have in Photoshop. I don't know if we have this option in Photoshop, probably we do, but we rarely use it in Photoshop, so we rarely use it here in ZBrush too. Most of the time we save from this tool menu, save as, or load, but loading is not used that much because you can double click on the tool in your file manager, Windows or Mac, and you can open the current tool. So ZBrush will open and the tool will load. So load tool, save as. Save as is very important. We save from here, from the tool menu, which is always docked here on the right. Of course, it can be undocked. In ZBrush, it's very customizable. You can dock menus, you can undock them, you can save the current configuration. It's pretty easy, it's pretty nice, and I will show you how you do it, but it will be later. So first, we'll go to our tool menu, which is here, and we'll dock it back. So I just click on this little icon here. You see what I did? So I go to tool menu, and this little circle with an arrow, I just click on it, and it docks. If I want to dock it on the other side, by the way, I can do that. This is the brushes here. I can just drag it by this circle and drop it in my working area, and it will disappear. And now from the tool menu, I can drag it and drop it in here. But you don't need that. So the tool menu, the most important. How did I open this left menu? Just double click on this kind of an ant here. This kind of a two vertical lines with the triangles. So you know about the tool menu already. The tool menu is very important. Let me just click. No, I cannot dock it like this. I will dock it by dragging it here. If you want to use ZBrush, probably you will need one of these. And this is the pen of my tablet. My tablet is Wacom 1 by Wacom, which is a pretty inexpensive tablet. It's one of the most inexpensive tablets by Wacom. It's medium size, but the small size is also good. It's pretty nice. I work, when I teach in the academy that I teach, I use the small size. And it's perfectly fine. So whatever tablet you find, it can be XP Pen, it can be Huion or whatever tablet, it's okay. So let me first do a very quick sculpt here to show you just a kind of a quick demonstration of the capabilities of ZBrush, and yeah, you will see. So first I will smash this with my move tool, move brush. By the way, the move brush is also one of the most important brushes here in ZBrush. We use it a lot, and with the move brush and rotation, by the way, I will show you how to rotate, how to move your camera around the object in a minute. With those brushes, with the move brush, this is the high polish brush. I can flatten the area here to make it well. This is the mask brush. We can show it with control key, but as I told you, this is just a little demo. I will not stop at anything just more precisely now. After a few seconds, I will start showing you everything much more depth. So this is the jaw area. The neck will come a little bit forward. And we need Dynamesh. Let's go to Dynamesh. Dynamesh, by the way, is a very interesting thing. Just remember it. It will be useful later. Okay. And smooth brush is very important. Smooth brush with shift. Every brush basically has smooth brush with shift. Basically, whatever brush you are on, you can shift and then smooth. It's very useful. We use it all the time. The character artists, I mean. And yeah, this will be our kind of a base for the head. Of course, I'm making this now. Why? Because when I show you how to rotate the camera and how to pan the camera and zoom, it will be easier if we have something like a head, like this kind of guy here. So what I did here to make the ears, I just masked a little area and then I invert the mask. Masks are a very powerful tool in ZBrush, and you will see that. They are a powerful tool also in Photoshop. So yeah, there are some analogies from Zbrush to Photoshop, but you know, they're kind of different programs, so we'll not get too much into this. I told you a little bit of these analogies, and this will be it for now. How am I making my brush smaller or larger? It's with bracket keys. I'm using the bracket keys. You can use the spacebar to get this menu, which has the draw size, focal shift, which I don't touch, Z intensity, which means how deep it will dig, or how it will kind of the opposite of digging. This is A, mRGB, zRGB, and M, which means we can draw with color. We can Z-add, which means we can sculpt, Z-sub, sculpt in the other way. M, material, draw with material or fill with material. This is move, scale, rotate, which means we can move our model, scale or rotate it. Nowadays we just need one of those. We don't need all of them because all of them just show you this. This is with W key. I show this with Q. I'm back. So you see, W is draw, and W is move, and Q is draw. So move, and we can move our object. We don't move the camera. We move our object with this very nice gizmo here that we have in Zbrush. This gizmo is amazing. I will show it to you later. Now, I kinda am happy with this. This is a female kinda probably head, yes, and we are okay with it, kind of. I am using my short keys for the brushes for now, but when we start the head in the next video, basically start it with you together, we will use the default short keys in Zbrush, which are kind of hard, but we have to. We have to in the beginning, because you have to get used to it, and then I will show you how to kind of fix them. So now we have this head, very nice. Now let's learn how to rotate, how to pan the camera, how to move it, and how to zoom, which is the most difficult thing in Zbrush ever. But when you learn it and when you practice it, you will be the best. So first, moving the camera is just by left button clicking is the rotating. The rotating is by left click and just move. And we rotate. By the way, this is pretty simple. Just left click outside the object, not in the object because you will start doing something. Outside the object, and you just move. This will rotate our camera. Pretty good around the object. Pretty nice. And now the object is like, what's happening here? How do we return to our normal position? If we hold shift while rotating, it will snap. It will snap to the closest position. Basically, we can just rotate and then shift, and it will snap. So I use it to snap in my front position. But now our object is a little bit in some other area, it's not in the center. So how do we move the camera? We move the camera by pressing Alt. Alt and again left click, or just draw with the tablet. And yeah, in the beginning you can use a mouse, of course, it's not a problem, but the tablet is more kind of intuitive maybe in Zbrush. You kind of need to get used to the tablet, but with a mouse it's pretty difficult to make nice things because it doesn't have pen pressures, and pen pressure is pretty important thing, and that's why we're using these tablets. So rotating with just the left mouse button or the tablet, just draw with the tablet outside the object, and Alt and drawing or just pressing the left mouse button and moving is the moving of the camera. So we can move it and suddenly our object disappears. What we will do when our object is gone? Our object is there, but it's like out of our viewpoint. So now we just can press here the frame, fit mesh to view, this button here, or we can press F in a keyboard and we'll see it. And now I rotate and press shift when I'm close to the front position, and I move it here. By the way, frame and also move and also zoom are the keys here, and we can use them to navigate, but it's not that convenient as to just work from whatever we are. Not to distract ourselves from the sculpt, from our creativity. in my opinion, we need to learn how to make it with the keys, like Alt, drag, just drag, and then the zoom in and out, which is very unintuitive. When I was learning it, it was like a nightmare. I mean, yeah, but when you practice, it's kind of getting used to. You're gonna getting used to it. So it's like rotating, Alt and drag. Not rotating, like the moving, Alt and just dragging, and then you continue to drag and just release Alt and start to zoom in and out. Yeah, Alt, click, release Alt, and just move side by side or up and down, and you will zoom in and out. It's kind of takes time to get used to, but when you kind of getting used to it, it will be very intuitive for you. What I kind of suggest for you to do is to practice by just kind of make your own head, like we will make in the next video. Start, try to make it, try to rotate around the head, try to view it from all angles, from the top even, because it's important, and you will see how it will kind of get a little bit by little, it will get to you. You will get familiar with the navigation. And navigation in Zbrush, these things, rotation of the camera, moving of the camera, and zoom in and out, are the most important things. They are most important things in all 3D software. If you don't know, and if you are not like used to do it, it will be, you have a very difficult time in this software. So these are those things. Let's kind of look at the tool menu. It's important. So practice moving, rotating, it's very easy. Moving the camera with Alt, and with Alt, click, release Alt, zoom in and out. Practice it, and you will get better with it, of course, like everything. So in the tool menu, we have a lot of things below this first part, and from this first part, by the way, we use Save As the most. Import, sometimes we import OBJ. We can import OBJ from here, import. Here is the subtool menu, pretty important menu, one of the most important too. We can change how much visible subtools we have here, which is kind of in the beginning you will not need it. So this is the subtool menu. We have a lot of things that I will explain here later, but this is basically where you see your subtools. And for example, you can say now, okay, how do I add another subtool? For example, I want eyeballs. Okay, it's easy. You go to Append here in the subtool menu of the tool menu. You go to Append, and by the way, if you click and then you have to go in this menu. If you go out of the menu, it will disappear. So it's a little bit tricky. So you go in the menu and then you find the Sphere 3D, which is the first here in the 3D Meshes tab, and then we click on it. And then we have another subtool. Very nice. So this is the sphere, and this is our head. So the sphere is will be our eyeball. We have to just shrink it. Okay. So in order to shrink it, we have to go select it. It has to be selected, of course, otherwise we will not be able to do it. And then we press W. And W is this move here. We can press scale or rotate. It's absolutely the same, because nowadays in Zbrush, it's this gizmo is allowing us to make everything from scaling to scaling in this axis, in this axis, Control Z, rotating in another axis, moving in an axis. Everything you can do with this gizmo. It's amazing. One of the best, maybe the best gizmo in any 3D software. I love it. So we just need to go to W to show this gizmo. The gizmo will be in the center of our object in this case, and we just have to drag the yellow rectangle down, and it's not visible because it's inside the head. So we just take by this arrow and drag it out to get it out of the head, and then by this rectangle, the yellow, we make the eye. By the way, this eye is kind of big. I think it should be like this. Yeah, this is the eyeball. Maybe it's too small, but maybe it's not. We'll see. So we can put it around this area here for now. And this is how you make another object. From ZBrush, it's very easy to make from any object anything. For example, let me show you. This is the eye. Okay, this is the eyeball. We have to make a hair. How to make hair? We can append a sphere, then select the sphere from here, because when you append something, either it's a sphere or a cube or a cylinder, if your object, the object that you want to make, is closer to the cylinder, it will be better to append a cylinder. But in this case we append a sphere, we select it, it will go always in the bottom of your subtool stack, which is kind of the layer stack, but this is subtool stack, and then we can make a hair out of it. So I will just use the move brush. By the way, I will tell you about the brushes, how they work, and now we are working, but we don't have symmetry now, which is a little bit annoying, but yeah, the symmetry is not presented here in the ZBrush interface, which is, I think, a little bit of a miss. But you can press X to have symmetry. But now my object is not symmetrical, and if I press X for symmetry, I will have symmetry, but it will be a little bit annoying. Which is not a problem, we will learn how to fix that later, but let me not overwhelm you with a lot of details in the first video in the beginning yet, but this will be kind of the head. I will disable symmetry with pressing the X again. So X key in the keyboard is enabling symmetry, and it's also disabling symmetry. Okay, now we go to our head, make this, and it's very, very creepy. But you see, let's see how the brushes work. So the normal brush that you will use in the beginning is the standard brush. Standard brush is a very useful brush. It's I think enabled by default, so you can just start using the standard brush. The standard brush is here. So yeah, how we can kind of change the brush or return to the standard brush if we have changed it by some accident. So we press B key in the keyboard, and then we press S for standard. We have to know, by the way, which brush we want, how the name of the brush is, which for beginners I realize it's kind of impossible. That's why in the next video we will just learn few brushes by making a female head, and then we will kind of get them into our UI so we can choose them very easily, and we will make probably a shortcuts of them, but this will be later. For now, let's go to standard brush. So standard brush is S, and then here it's L or it's J, I'm not sure. So your shortcut could be different. You see, there are letters here. So S polish is G, spiral is B, and they have kind of orange letters or numbers. So yeah, let's start again. So B opens the window, S is for standard, so the standard brush should be here, and then J is the standard brush. So if we go to a move brush, B, M, and then V, BMW, BMW, it's not BMW, it's BMW, is the move brush. So let's go back to standard brush, B, S, G, yeah. In my case it's J. I think the normal is, the normal shortcut is not J, but in my case it's J. In your case could be different. So B, S to go to standard, and then either click the standard brush or press the shortcut. It's difficult, I know. And this, by the way, this very difficult selection of the brushes, and to not know which brush to choose for the task is the thing that it's kind of pushing the people away from ZBrush the most. But these things I will, of course, teach you, and it will be easy for you. How do I select different subtools? Not from the subtool menu, because I have to go there and select them. It's just Alt clicking on the subtool and it's selectable. It's very easy. It's almost the same. I think in ZBrush, in Photoshop, it was control clicking or something like this. Here is Alt clicking on the subtool to select it. or on the layer. It's not layer, it's subtool in ZBrush. So yeah, let's say it how it is in ZBrush. So when we have standard brush, for example, and we select the face, we can make the brush smaller or make it bigger with the bracket keys, or we can go to the draw size in here, make it bigger or smaller, or we can press the space bar and make it bigger or smaller. It's your choice. By default, when you drag, it will kinda bulge the surface. It will go up. So we can make a nose, for example. But if we want to go down, to dig, we just have to press Alt. And you see, when I press Alt, if you can see, on the cross of the brush, there's a minus appearing when I press Alt. So with Alt pressed, we can drag and it will dig. With all the brushes, almost all the brushes, especially the sculpting brushes, with all of them, Alt is the opposite. So, for example, let's go to B, C, which is for clay, C, and we go to clay tubes brush. Let's find it, clay tubes, it's T. So B, C, T. So clay tubes, we drag. It's kind of in this very low poly model, you will see it as almost the same as a standard brush, but it's not. By the way, you probably will have, let me append the sphere. You probably will have only the sphere, you will not have the head in this point. So let me kind of do it on the sphere. So this will be the clay tubes. You see how it's a little bit different than the standard brush, and the standard brush will be BSJ in my case, and it will be like this. So they have a different purpose. They can be a little bit different in the way you sculpt, and we will use them in a little bit different scenarios. It's a little bit, everything can be done with the standard brush alone, but it's easier to use different brushes. So the next brush that it's very nice to use, it's high polish brush. So we go to B, H, and it's very easy because we have only 4 brushes and some here, but those you will not have. So high polish brush is BHP, BHP, easy. High polish brush, what it does is flatten the area. And why do we need it? For example, if we have a head like this, and why do I see my head only and not the other, like the eyeball and everything? Because I checked this kind of a eye in here next to the subtool. Each subtool has an eye, and this eye, if we uncheck it, the subtool kind of is not visible, which is pretty cool. So I uncheck the eyes, and now I can just kind of flatten the sides, I can make the planes of the head with the high polish brush, which is pretty useful, you might say, yeah. And this kind of looks like a stylized version of a real head, which is pretty nice. This is my move brush, by the way, that I'm using. Move brush is, in my opinion, move brush maybe is the most important brush of them all. It's super nice. But for those brushes and to make a head, we'll continue in the next video. How to save a file. I told you, save as in the tool menu. Save as, and you will save the tool. And then you can open it, and it will be this with all the subtools that you have and everything. So for now, bye. See you in the next video when we start from sphere and make a human head, and I will explain everything in the process of sculpting in order for you to start sculpting, of course.